My name's Mark, and I've been married to my wife, Ashley, for 8 years. We met in college, and she was the type of girl everyone wanted, beautiful, smart, with a laugh that could light up a room. I'll admit, I thought I was the luckiest guy alive when she said yes to marrying me. But as they say, sometimes the universe has other plans. Lately, things had felt off. We didn't fight much, but she was always busy. New projects at work, late nights with her girls, 1,000,001 excuses not to hang out with me. I wasn't naive, I could feel the distance growing, but I never suspected anything beyond the usual marriage burnout. I thought maybe it was just a rough patch. Then came the phone call. The call that flipped my entire life upside down in less than a minute. So, there I am, sitting at work, minding my own business, when my phone rings. It's one of those moments you can't forget, like the universe giving you a heads up that your life's about to implode. It was a number I didn't recognize, but something made me pick it up. Mr. Johnson, this is St. Mary's Hospital. Your wife's been in an accident. I swear, my heart stopped. I practically flew out of my office chair, grabbed my keys, and drove like a maniac to the hospital. The whole way there, I was imagining the worst. Was she hurt? Was she even alive? When I arrived, Ashley's parents were already there. We exchanged these worried glances, none of us knowing what the hell was going on. A doctor came out, told us she'd be fine, just a few minor injuries, and that we could see her in about half an hour. Relief washed over me, but something still didn't feel right. That's when the police showed up. They asked to speak to us privately, and my stomach dropped. I thought maybe there was some legal thing with the accident. Little did I know, this was about to be the worst news I'd ever received. Your wife wasn't alone in the car, one of the officers said, his voice dead serious. She was with a man, and, well, the accident happened because, she was performing a sexual act on him while he was driving. I stood there, numb. Her parents went silent. A sexual act. What the hell? It was like a punch to the gut, but instead of pain, there was this cold, sinking feeling. I didn't even ask who the guy was at first. I just stood there, open-mouthed, staring at the officer like he'd spoken in some foreign language. Ashley, my wife, was cheating on me? And not just that, but this idiot lost control of the car because she was giving him a blowjob. I couldn't take it. I needed to get out of there, process what I'd just heard. Without a word, I turned and walked out of the hospital, leaving her parents behind. The betrayal felt so deep, I didn't even want to see her. After storming out of the hospital, I found myself parked in some random lot, trying to breathe through the overwhelming anger that was bubbling up inside me. I mean, how do you even begin to process something like that? My wife wasn't just cheating on me, she was doing it in the most humiliating way possible, getting herself into a car wreck while, well, you get it. Once I calmed down a little, I knew I needed answers. I called the police station, and they filled me in on the rest of the details. The guy she was with? Some dude named Greg. A coworker of hers that I'd heard about in passing but never thought much of. Now, every time I heard his name, I wanted to punch a wall. By the time I made it back to the hospital, my mind was made up. I wasn't going to sit there and pretend everything was okay. I needed to confront her. I walked in, and there she was, lying in bed, looking pitiful with a few cuts and bruises. But all I could see was the lie, the betrayal. She opened her eyes when I walked in, gave me this weak smile, like she was expecting sympathy from me. Mark, No. You don't get to talk first, I said, my voice cold. I already know everything. Her face turned pale. What do you mean? I know you were with Greg. I spat his name like it was poison. I know what you were doing when you wrecked that car. She started stammering, trying to put together some half-baked lie, but I wasn't having it. Mark, it wasn't like that. He's just a friend. I swear, I wasn't. Do not lie to me, I snapped. The cops already told me what happened. Stop with the bullshit, Ashley. She froze, her eyes darting around like she was searching for a way out, but there wasn't one. It was just once, she finally admitted, her voice barely a whisper. I made a mistake. Just once. I laughed bitterly. You were literally caught in the act, and you're still lying to me? How low can you get? She started crying, of course, because that's what she always did when she was cornered. Please, Mark, I love you. It didn't mean anything, I swear. I messed up, But we can fix this. I cut her off. There's no we anymore. You blew that up the second you decided to go down on Greg in a moving car. The confrontation wasn't some explosive, screaming match. No, it was colder than that. I was done. I'd heard enough. I didn't even want to give her the satisfaction of trying to justify herself anymore. So, I turned around and left the room without another word, leaving her in tears. After walking out of that hospital room, I thought I'd feel some kind of relief. Like the truth was out there, and now I could move on. But instead, the weight of what happened hit me harder than I expected. I sat in my car, staring at the dashboard, and all I could think was, how did it come to this? The anger was there, no doubt about that. But beneath it was something else, something worse. I felt hollow, like a part of me had been ripped out, and I didn't even know how to fill that space again. 8 years of marriage, gone in an instant. And for what? A fling with some guy at work? I kept replaying everything in my head. All the late nights, the weird excuses, the sudden distance between us. It had been there, right in front of me, but I was too blind or too trusting to see it. I thought we were just going through a rough patch. Every couple has them, right? But no. She was sneaking around with Greg, and I had been too much of a fool to notice. That realization hurt more than anything. I'd been betrayed, sure, but I also felt like an idiot for not seeing the signs. I started questioning everything. Was any of our marriage real? Was she always looking for something better? Had she been lying to me from the beginning? The worst part was, I couldn't even bring myself to hate her. I wanted to, believe me, I did. But it was more complicated than that. There was this deep sadness, like mourning someone who was still alive. The woman I thought I knew was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. And I didn't know how to deal with that. Over the next few days, I barely slept. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what my life was going to look like now. Ashley called me a few times, left voicemails begging me to talk, to come see her. But I ignored every single one. What was there to say? The damage was done. It was around this time that I knew what I had to do. Staying with her wasn't an option. The trust was shattered, and I wasn't about to try and piece it back together. I needed to get out of this marriage before it poisoned me any further. After a few days of numbness, anger, and endless replaying of everything in my head, I finally reached my breaking point. There was no salvaging this. The betrayal was too deep, and every time I thought about Ashley's pathetic excuses, it just fueled the fire burning inside me. I knew what I had to do. I decided to file for divorce. It wasn't an impulsive decision. No, I sat with it, chewed it over for a couple of days, and the more I thought about it, the clearer it became. There was no going back from this. Not for me. I wasn't going to live in some twisted version of our marriage where I pretended everything was fine, just to avoid the inevitable collapse. No, I'd rather burn it all down myself and walk away with my dignity intact. So, I contacted a lawyer, got the paperwork started, and that same day, I packed up my things. I couldn't stand to be in that house any longer, surrounded by memories that felt tainted now. Every room had some reminder of her, of us. Except now, all I could see was the lie she had turned our life into. I didn't even tell Ashley I was leaving. I figured she'd find out soon enough when she got back from the hospital to see half of the closet emptied out and a divorce petition waiting for her on the kitchen counter. It wasn't about revenge at this point. I just wanted out. I wanted to reclaim my life before her mess swallowed me whole. Of course, Ashley blew up my phone when she saw the papers. Crying, pleading, saying it was a mistake, that she loved me, that we could fix this. I didn't reply to a single one. What was there to fix? She made her choice. Now, I was making mine. It wasn't easy, though. There were moments where I second-guessed myself, wondering if maybe I was being too harsh, too quick to pull the trigger. But then I'd remember what the cop had told me, and the image of that car crash would flash in my mind. The moment I knew she was in the act of cheating, that she put herself and someone else at risk just for some quick thrill. No, I couldn't come back from that. I filed for divorce while she was still laid up in the hospital, and by the time she was discharged, the papers were already in motion. I had moved into a buddy's place temporarily, trying to piece together what my next steps were. The decision was made, and for the first time in days, I felt a weird sense of calm. like I'd finally taken back control of my life. By the time the divorce was finalized, I was in a completely different headspace. The initial shock and anger had faded, leaving behind something I hadn't expected: clarity. I realized that, for too long, I'd been holding on to an illusion of what our marriage was supposed to be, instead of seeing it for what it had actually become. Ashley, of course, tried everything to win me back. She bombarded me with texts, emails, even showed up at my friend's place once, begging for one last chance. But it was too late. She was full of apologies, excuses, and promises that things would be different, but none of it mattered. The damage was done. I couldn't unsee the truth, and I couldn't unhear the details of how she betrayed me. Every word that came out of her mouth just felt like another lie. In the end, she moved in with her parents, and we settled the divorce relatively quickly. No kids, no shared assets that were too difficult to divide. I got my life back, and she got, well, I don't care what she got. What did I learn from all of this? Honestly, I learned that you can't control everything, no matter how much you want to. People are going to make their own decisions, and sometimes those decisions will hurt you in ways you never saw coming. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, there's no glue strong enough to hold it together. If there's any advice I'd give to someone in a similar situation, it's this: don't wait for an apology or an explanation to move forward. If someone betrays you like Ashley did, the best thing you can do is cut them out and focus on rebuilding your own life. I spent too long hoping things would go back to normal, when in reality, normal was never coming back. Now, I'm working on me. I've reconnected with old friends, picked up some hobbies I'd let go, and for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about the future. I don't know what's next, but whatever it is, I know it won't involve someone who lies and cheats. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.